News on AM 1380 WPHF. Monday for sure. 22 degrees out there. It's cold at 9:41. We'll have more details in the weather forecast coming up in just a few minutes. The digital divide, it's a real thing. It exists, and it's what's keeping a lot of people from prosperity, not just in third world countries, but here as well. Our next guest is the president and CEO of Federman and Associates, an international evaluation consulting firm, and David Federman is on the line with us right now. David, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for calling, Paul.
Well, I appreciate you joining us this morning. Empowerment evaluation in the digital villages. Tell us about this $15 million community change initiative.
It was very interesting. Thanks. It was a partnership, actually, between Hewlett-Packard, Stanford University, and 3 ethnically diverse communities throughout the United States. One included 18 different tribes in San Diego called the Tribal Digital Village. Very powerful, and they were designed to help bridge the digital divide.
And so, what were the parameters? How was this carried out?
Basically, they all had to do some sort of proposal as to what they thought they could do technologically to improve their lives, to build their communities, to improve education, health, that sort of thing. If they looked good, HP put in the money, resources, people like me to help evaluate the programs throughout the country. But it was designed to have them help themselves. Instead of someone taking over, or HP or someone saying, this is what you have to do, they said, no, you tell us what you think is reasonable, but not in a vacuum, within the context of what we think is reasonable and that could be accountable. And they learned how to monitor themselves and build their own towers in some case, like the Tribal Digital Village, and their own bandwidth, and were able to video conference outside the reservation, reaching my class at Stanford, as well as outside selling some of the bandwidth and making some money other than gaming. So it was very impressive to see some of the things that they did to start up their own small businesses or improve their health or their education for their kids, using technology as a base. But the key was they learned how to do it themselves.
But, being able to conference with, as you said, like, other tribes and other communities, what a big deal for people who otherwise might not be able to really set foot in another world. Now they're transported electronically there.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning, because for those familiar with also the practices of the Bureau of Indian Affairs many, many years ago, not today, they actually helped fragment a lot of the Native American population and even put them, of course, on reservations so they couldn't even talk to each other very well. So there's a lot of history and baggage that goes with that in terms of them also sending the kids out so they couldn't learn their language. Well, this turns it sort of on its head, where now they're able to not only communicate with each other on the reservation, but throughout the United States, including, as I said, my class at Stanford. And that's only one example of the digital village. The other ones were in African American and Latino communities, Pacific Islander communities, where they're able to reach out and improve education for their kids. A lot of times in Baltimore, for example, and East Palo Alto, they distributed 400 or 500 laptops to the kids and to the teachers, that being the key. That helped transform the curriculum in the schools, because they started using the internet as the base of a lot of their curriculum. So not just the Native American example, which is pretty powerful, pretty impressive, because they did build one of the largest wireless systems in the country, according to the former head of the FCC at the time. But these other places also in East Palo Alto, Baltimore, help extend even how we do our education in our public school systems by introducing this technology.
Sounds like this experiment worked and paid dividends. Were there any shortcomings or anything that would be changed or done differently if this were to be done again?
Oh, about 1 million things would be done differently. Just be honest. There were many fantastic outcomes. There's no question about it. But I don't want to suggest that it worked smoothly or was easy by a long shot. It was a tremendous amount of hard work. And there were a lot of detours, a lot of mistakes. We even had one example in my book, because it's a very honest book, very straightforward. We mentioned all the positives, but we also mentioned one example where one of the grantees of some of this money uninvited the sponsor, HP. Have you ever heard of that? I mean, that's about as big of a faux pas as you can make.
Yeah.
What was interesting is, and we all made a mistake in that regard, just as an example, HP was very generous and very understanding and thought, well, no, it means that they aren't ready for us, so we have to respect that. Well, in retrospect, that was a tremendous mistake. You go, you know what, wherever you are, let's see where you are, let's assess where you are, and let's help you move forward, because it led to sort of an arrogance for the grantee, where they pushed too many things away, other resources that were quite valuable, would have helped them. So I think that's just one example of many of the what I call detours. I use sort of a racing motif or metaphor throughout the book because I think how this is social justice is very important. You can't go at normal speed to get there. So I use that metaphor all the way through, and I have communities look at these curves that they take and these detours and problems as opportunities and turn them around. But at the same time, some of them we have to put the brakes on because we certainly made a number of mistakes. There's no question about it.
Is this an area that the philanthropy world should be looking at in the years to come, that this is a pretty good place to put money?
Absolutely. There's no question about it. I mean, right now the Obama administration, never mind the foundations, is working on neighborhood revitalization initiatives through the White House Domestic Policy Council. There are a number of foundations that are moving in this direction, like Kellogg and the Marin Community Foundation and Andy Casey move in this direction for collaborative activity. But corporate philanthropists in particular, I'm glad you mentioned, should be right in there. They should be turning their work into a partnership. So it's not I tell you what to do or you just do what you want. We work together and look at what's reasonable, realistic, in terms of agree upon goals and monitor those activities to see if we are accomplishing those goals. If we're not, no ego. We just change what those strategies are, same goal, and we keep on moving forward. Given the fiscal cliff situation in particular, this is a time where corporate philanthropy can really step in and be a model, because there are plenty of models already of success working with local communities. And sort of this is obviously a critical time to move in and play its part, as well as, of course, industry and government doing their work as well.
Yeah, those partnerships, I think, are important. You mentioned, it should be monitored. I think that if a company just, if HP had just dropped off case after case of laptops and said, well, here you go, good luck,
yeah,
it probably wouldn't have gone very far, right?
It would have gone nowhere. The problem is that the answer is not really technology. Technology is just a tool, an important one, of course, today, but it's really having people have resources behind that, which means not just money or just the equipment, some of the technical assistance. Look, I went to when my kid was in first grade, this was many years ago, I looked around the room at this, parent day, and I saw, oh, this fantastic, beautiful equipment, and it's linked up and tons of software. And I had to go up to the teacher afterwards and say, this is fantastic, the resources here. She says to me, David, I have to admit, I have no idea how to use any of this.
Oh, dear.
And that was a very affluent community at the time. So think about some of the communities that have been not given an opportunity at all, economically or socioeconomically, to move forward. They can never be left just with technology. It has to be resources, training, and also a plan. And that plan with specific goals and ways of monitoring it. So you're absolutely right. You can't just drop off equipment. It just happens to be a useful tool if the training is there. Let me add one other thing if I could. One of the things I mentioned in the book is called the training ground phenomenon. What happened here is a lot of individuals, primarily minorities, who would never have gotten a chance to fill these kinds of roles to help direct programs and be managers or planners, etc., were able to fulfill those roles. And by doing that, they learned by experience how to do it, which then leveraged their ability to actually get jobs in other areas later. So it became a training ground, as it were, in the background, which built their specific capacity in these areas.